Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the No Easy Way Out podcast. My name is Tony, and we are coming to you as always from the Armory in beautiful downtown Owosso, home to my company, AZ Business Solutions, where we help grow your brand from A to Z. I'm joined today by a guest that is an Owosso Corunna native, I guess, Owosso/Corunna, a longtime friend of mine and the owner of Success Group here in Owosso, and that is Mr. Jim Woodworth. Jim, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Tony. Always good to be with you.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Now, you did one of our abbreviated episodes last year, but we didn't want to get you on the podcast here because you got a lot to talk about, a lot of things happening. You're really ensconced in our community, so I want to get into that. But we met, years and years ago. Our parents, actually, your mom and my dad worked at the same place forever.
Yep.
My dad still is retired, but still kind of works when he wants and drives there. But I think we met at like a staff Christmas party or something.
Yep.
And then we played some hoops together back in the day. We used to show me up a little bit on the court. And I guess we're kind of related because your cousin married my sister. So I don't know if that makes us relatives or,
we're all kind of relatives one way or another.
Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers got a hug, right? Right. So, it's we've known each other for a little while. And so it's good to have you here. Good to be on the show. So why don't you tell our audience, those who don't know you, why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Success Group? Yeah.
My wife and I, Jill, we live right downtown Owosso here. The Owosso/Corunna, I'm a Corunna guy.
Yeah.
I grew up in the Corunna school system. I still coach there. I support the school system.
Go Cavs.
So that's right. Go Cavs. It feels good to say that, right? Yeah. You voted for the Cavs.
I did.
Just a week ago. Appreciate that. So
1 and 2.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
So I moved back to this area a few years ago after growing up here, and immediately wanted to start growing my brand and my business. So through a couple different things, and the way that it started, we'll get into more of that I think as we go. But we have Success Group Mortgage and Servicing. It's a mortgage and land contract company right downtown Owosso, and we have 8 team members scattered about the entire country. So it's a pretty cool business because you know in this day and age too, you don't need to be all downtown Owosso. So we've got a couple people out in Hawaii. We've got a couple people.
The Deasons.
That's right. Yeah. Jeff and Karen.
Living the dream.
Yep. And we've got a few people in the four people in the Detroit area too. So or 3 people in the Detroit. 3 people in Detroit, 3 people in Owosso, and 2 in Hawaii.
So who are your 3 people in Owosso that maybe some of our listeners might know?
Yep, we've got Annie Ludington. She's an absolute rock star. She's my OG. She came with me when shortly after we started the company, and then Missy Dora, who's awesome. She's well known around the Fitness Coliseum community. She used to work at Memorial Hospital.
She used to work at the Tanglewood too.
She did.
So she met a lot of people there.
I used to work at the Tanglewood.
Did you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That was before my time.
Yeah. That was right out of high school. I went and I was a banquet server, and and so that was probably while Missy was in middle school.
You worked for Kim Huska?
Kim was not there.
Oh, Kim was there. Well, you were way back there.
It was like the original crew.
Yeah, wow. So Missy worked for me. She was one of my best employees. When she left, we definitely felt that because she could work the desk, she could clean rooms, she could do a banquet server, she could be a bartender, she could go back in the kitchen. And she was just always willing to do whatever. She's awesome.
That's why we brought her on. She's the vice president of miscellaneous things.
Yeah,
so
that is Missy,
right? Do it all. So
she really can.
Yep.
She really can.
So we love her. She's been here for 4 weeks, and it's fun to have her around.
Okay, well, cool. So you guys are located right down on Exchange Street, just a couple blocks from here, and so tell our audience a little bit about, specifically what is the details of kind of, I know you said mortgage and land contract, but tell our audience about the services you offer specifically to the end user.
Yeah, the most commonly known thing we do is we help people with their financing for purchases, so residential homes, and refinancing. So you have a mortgage, we can change the terms of that to lower the rate, get the home paid off faster, or if you're buying a home and you don't have the cash to buy it, you need a loan.
Right.
And that's where we come into play. Those are the 2 most commonly things when you think of mortgage. That's what we do.
Right.
And then one thing that we do that's extremely unique to our industry is land contract services. So we treat a land contract just the same as a mortgage, and we help. I think of like institutional landlords, somebody who has hundreds of properties and they need like an exit strategy. How do they get out of that market? Well, we will start listing those homes for sale, available on land contract, and then work with that buyer to get in the position where they qualify for a mortgage, and then a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, we'll get them into more traditional mortgage.
Sure.
But a land contract is simply seller financing. So instead of them getting a loan from a bank, they're essentially just paying the current owner interest.
Mortgage plus some.
Yeah, and then we'll eventually take over the deed and own the home.
Okay.
So that's a pretty cool thing, and it's a lot different than what most people do, but that's a whole another hour of conversation because it's pretty unique.
Well, the market right now, the home market, housing market, it's crazy right now. I know I'm trying to get a house. We're using Success Group, by the way, to help us get our mortgage. But what are some things you think people need to know about what they should be doing in order to get a mortgage and get themselves in a position where they qualify for the max amount of money they can afford?
Yeah. The first thing is don't be scared or intimidated, because everyone's saying right now the housing market's crazy. You have to have so much. Just take a deep breath, talk to some people you trust. So if that's us,
Success Group.
So if that's us, we'll kind of guide you into that market. And then you've really got to have a real estate agent that's working for you. And we have agents, there's in this area, there's really 3 or 4. And then the gap between those 3 and 4, I mean, it's pretty intense with the volume they're doing. So you really need to have an agent that understands the market. And the worst thing you can do right now is agent hop.
Yeah.
So if there's such a low inventory, so we're seeing a lot of people, well, I'm working with this agent today, and then tomorrow they come and now this this agent's making them an offer.
Yeah.
Just stick with somebody you can trust and understand that you're not alone in this, but you really need good counsel. And that's where we can step in to help with really making sure you understand what type of offer you can make, what are some unique things that people are doing that are getting their offers accepted, and then, again, using an agent that you can feel good about.
I think people maybe don't even realize that, mortgage agents and real estate agents both are working on your behalf with no cost up front on your behalf to try to get to a point where they can help you close on something, and that's when they get paid.
Yeah.
So, when we talk about shopping local, when you're working with local agents and you get them to kind of go out and do a bunch of things to get you in a position and then you move on, a lot of people don't even maybe realize what that's doing. And so I know one of the things I've learned as we're in this process right now is I'm working with you and I'm working with Corey Shook, and there's a lot of other people out there selling homes and people offering mortgages, but being able to work with you two has been much easier because number one, you guys have both been able to kind of advise me on what should my next steps be, but also my situation. I don't have to keep explaining what's going on. My situation, and so just find some people that you can trust. I recommend Corey Shook and Jim Woodworth in terms of a home, and just stick with them. I think that will really, really help. And one of the big things that a lot of people worry about or wonder about is the credit score, and that's a challenge all on its own. But what do you think is a good range of credit score people should be really targeting for if they want to really get qualified for a mortgage?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's programs if you have scores in the 500s, there's programs available to you to get a loan today. The problem with that is the type of financing isn't looked favorably upon when you're presenting it as an offer.
Right.
And because we're in that competitive market, sellers and real estate agents will try to cherry pick which offer they feel the strongest is.
Yeah.
So without even telling them your credit score, based on based on the loan program you might be offering, they know, okay, this could be a little bit of a more risky acceptance, even though it might be more than this other offer, but it's cash, or they're putting 50% down. So you really want to put yourself in a position where your scores are in the 700s. You can qualify for conventional financing. Part of that's credit score, but a lot of that's down payment as well.
Right.
So again, if you don't have 5 to 10 to 20% down, perhaps a conventional loan is not an option for you.
Right.
So we've got to go back to those other loan products where, again, the seller looks at that and the real estate agent's coaching them, obviously. Hey, this is a type of loan that may not, has a less likelihood of closing, or it could get dragged out, or
Sure.
So one of the things we'll do is when we first pull your credit, and you're out looking at homes, we know, number one, it could be a minute before your offer gets accepted. You might have to look at 5 or 6, and you might have to make 5 or 6 offers
at least.
And it might take you a year and a half, right? We started this conversation
a year and a half ago,
a company ago. Me,
exactly.
We'll talk you through, hey, this needs to be done. You need to remove this from your credit, or you need to pay this card down, or
Yep.
We'll talk you through that to put you in the best position possible, because really, just like you said, Corey or your agent doesn't get paid. We don't either until that loan closes. So we want to put you in a position to qualify as quickly as we can.
Yeah.
And with the best possible terms.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do you think are some of the things that you've seen that are the biggest the things that hinder people the most from actually being able to get a mortgage? What are the things that hold people back the most that maybe they don't even realize they're doing?
The two things. In this area, for whatever reason, people love their cash.
Yeah.
Put your cash in a bank account, and no one's coming to get it. You don't have to have it buried in the backyard.
Right.
Because we have to be able to source all of the money that's coming for your transaction. So number one, put your money in the bank and leave it there.
Yeah.
Number two, I think that there's that mentality of like, I've got to have money on my credit card because I have to show that I'm paying it.
Yeah.
And you don't need to carry balances.
Yeah.
And even if that means paying it off in full each month, it can go a step further. Like, you can make multiple payments per month to keep your balances low.
Yeah.
And that's the number one thing that you can do to help your credit, is keep your balances low. And by low, I mean like $5 to $10.
Yeah.
So you might be like nuts about it, but make payments. If you're trying to get yourself in that position to purchase a home, keep your balances extremely low. Even if the limit's like $300, on your Home Depot card or whatever, make your purchase, go make a payment. Just keep it low, $5 to $10, and it will help big time.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've learned. I mean, we started our business, we, put everything on credit cards just to be able to have a business, and we destroyed our credit, annihilated it. And in this process, in the last 2 years of building it back up and trying to get it there, that's one of the things that we were advised to do as well, is spend money on your credit card, buy a tank of gas, and then the next day just pay it down to $5 or pay it down to $10, and just continually. And then making those multiple payments per month actually reflects well on your credit score. So here's
what it does too. It's just not that once a month, like, holy cow, I just spent $1,000 on whatever. Like, you're realizing every few days, like,
stop swiping.
Yeah, stop it. It's insane. So hopefully it helps you, like, okay, let's slow that down a little bit too. Now I can start saving a little more money, put a little more money in the bank. Because the biggest thing that can help you aside from credit right now is cash.
Yeah.
You've got to have some money, because when an offer goes in, you most likely have to do some type of appraisal guarantee. Mm-hmm. So what's that mean? Well, if the house, you make an offer at 110, but it only appraises at 105 or 100, you may have to bridge that gap and pay over than what the house appraises for.
Yeah.
And there's people out there, our parents' age, for sure. That's crazy. You never do that. Why would you overpay for that?
Right.
Well, that's the only way you're going to get it. So what's the alternative? You're going to continue to rent, or you're going to continue to be in your parents' basement, whatever it is. What's the alternative? So you have to, in this market, you have to compete like that to get it. And the appraised values will catch up. I mean, it's once you start seeing a few more sales like this. Well,
we've mentioned this market a lot so far, and you even reference, you hear people saying this market is crazy. The housing, like I said, we've been looking for a while, and there was a point where there was plenty of houses to look at, and now we're finding a house that we can actually look at like once a month, once every 2 months. There's just not much out there. So what's going on with the housing market?
I mean, there's a lot of things. I think you have a lot of people that have been stuck in wherever they have been for the last year, and they want to get out.
Yeah.
Because they've been, quarantining, or they couldn't go out and do some of the things they need to do, or their life has changed, where now they used to live in X because they were closer to work. Well, now they don't have to go to work.
Right.
They can do it from home. So I think the big thing is you're seeing people that really want to move and get out of wherever they've been at for the last year and a half.
Yeah.
And there's just not a lot of inventory. Because then you've got the flip side that people are nervous because they don't want to uproot whatever, because who knows what's going to happen.
If they can even find another house to live in. Yeah.
Is this a permanent, are we is post-COVID the permanent
new normal?
The new normal. So you've got people that are nervous and not want to sell, and then you've got a lot of people that are like, I'm antsy. I want to get out of my parents.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the younger people. It's, I would say that the 40 and under for sure are the people that really want to move right now. It's not the older generation. It's the people that are the first-time home buyers are really struggling to find what they need right now.
Yeah, for sure. And do you foresee when you say inventory, that means there's literally not that many houses for sale. I mean, in Shiawassee County, there's a dozen maybe. I don't know. Just not very many. I know in the size and price range we're looking at, there's zero right now.
Yeah.
So, do you foresee that turning around anytime soon, or
I mean,
it's hard to
it's
predict?
always cyclical, so it's gonna happen eventually, and that's where people, I think, there's also that nervousness. Am I buying at the wrong time?
Yeah.
Am I going to overpay, and
That's
am
where
I
I'm
stuck
at,
with
yeah.
this house?
No equity for a
And-
long time.
Yeah, and I've been in the mortgage business since 2005, so I saw like the collapse,
Yeah, in 2008.
and I saw a lot of the different loan options and what was happening that led to that. And I would say that this is very, very different. And the main reason being is because everyone that's buying a home right now is extremely qualified.
Yeah.
They either have a lot of money that they're putting down, or their credit's really
Right.
good, their job history, especially if you're self-employed, like they are scrutinized very intensely.
Yeah.
So the people that are buying are extremely qualified. And if I'm bringing cash to the table and covering that gap in the appraised value, I'm less likely to walk away if I see a dip in home values by 5 or 10% over the next couple of years.
Right.
Whereas before, you had a lot of zero down options. You had people with very suspect credit and very suspect careers getting a house with nothing out of pocket.
Yeah.
Well, if I see a dip in value, what am I into it? I'm not nothing.
Right.
So it's really easy, from a mentality standpoint, to just walk away. That is not what's happening right now. So yes, prices have been going up. Will they continue to go up at this pace? Who knows?
Yeah.
If they don't and they dip, most people aren't, trying to turn a quick profit on buying a home for their family.
No one's flipping right now.
They're going to be there for 5 or 6 years. So
Yeah.
if you see a little bit of a dip, then it'll bounce back, and 10, 20 years from now, you're going to have the equity, and real estate's still a great, great way to build wealth.
Yeah. What do you think? I mean, is the inventory what's driving the prices up? Is that, or is it multiple factors? Because I mean, we've made multiple offers. We just recently this week that we made an initial offer of $11,000 above asking price. Yep. And the next day we found out that somebody else, they accepted another offer even higher than that. We didn't know how much it was, but didn't even give us a chance to counter. So, I mean, we've made multiple offers above asking price and still have been outbid.
Yeah, inventory absolutely is the driving force, because, I mean, think about it. If you got
Supply and demand.
you and 5 other families competing for that next house that's going to come on the market,
Right.
I mean, once you have 10 or 15 to choose from, now you're not in a situation where there's multiple offers. You're not in situations where, if I'm a seller, the expectation is, if I list it today, I'm going to have multiple offers by tomorrow.
Right.
I mean, if you're thinking about selling your home, what a great, great time to do it. If you have your other living situation figured out.
Right.
Great time to downsize for that reason. You can make some great money on the sale of your big house and then turn it into a smaller house.
Yeah.
But yeah, inventory is absolutely the driving factor.
Are you seeing as people are buying homes for $30,000, $40,000 above asking price, after the appraisal comes through, are you seeing the appraisals match those numbers of what they're paying, or are the appraisals pretty accurate to what the initial asking price is?
We're seeing a little bit of both, and it really depends on, I guess, what the agent's strategy was to list it. Because there are some agents that will say, okay, I know it's worth X, but I'm going to undercut it Y. We want a lot of people looking at it. We want a lot of offers, because now you get, we see it all the time. People start justifying. Mm-hmm. Well, I knew that I could pay $1,200, but if I really start, tighten the belt, I can pay $1,300 a month.
Yeah.
And so they start justifying and making those types of decisions, that rationale. And I'm comfortable with them having that rationale because, like I said, people are very, very well qualified. It really comes down to their comfort level.
Yeah, or in the mid 2000s, they were giving loans to everybody who just had no ability to sustain it. Yeah.
There was a lot of good regulation that came out of that mess.
Yeah.
That helps today.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's very interesting, very informative. It actually shed some light on a few things for me. Hopefully, it has to you as well if you're listening with us still here. So let's talk about how you kind of got into the mortgage game. I know you started you started Success Group within the last 15 months, 12 months. But let's talk about how you got in there. So, you were a Corona High School grad, but where did you go to college?
Yep. So I graduated from Corona. I immediately went to basic training I was in the National Guard. So,
oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yep. So I did that, and then I really wanted to play basketball in college. Overlooked, and I guess it probably wasn't overlooked. I just wasn't good enough in high school to be recruited at that level.
Yeah.
But my body developed. I was a late bloomer. I started, and I kept practicing. I worked out with the basketball team after I graduated. So I took a year off, basically. Then I went to Oakland Community College for a year, played basketball there, and then transferred to Madonna University and played 3 years of basketball there. So that was really my goal with college. Our parents.
Where can we find the highlights?
Yeah, they're out there.
Are they on YouTube?
Yeah, James Woodworth landing on his head. That's out there.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That's brutal.
That's maybe why my back's a little.
His mom comes running out on the floor.
So that was really my goal with school. I was not a great student. Just wasn't a great student. So thankfully, because of sports, it kept me motivated to get through that.
Keep your grades up.
And the college experience led to some opportunities to move to New York right after college. I worked out there for a little bit as an assistant basketball coach at a small college. And then what brought me back was just seeking counsel from one of my assistant basketball coaches. And he had left that profession and was working at Rock Financial, which is now Quicken Loans, which is now Rocket Mortgage. And he said, you know what, you'd be great here. You should come back. And I had just started dating a girl back in Michigan. And I thought to myself, well, they're going to pay for my move back. They were, that was my first experience of like a company is going to pay for my move to
right.
I'm going to work there, and
Big time.
I have no idea what a mortgage is,
Yeah.
And I will work there until I find something better. And I was there for almost 14 years. It's an incredible company to work for. We still do a lot of business with them today. Really good relationships with a lot of people over there, and they're doing really good things for the city of Detroit. I left Quicken 3 years ago, and I thought, you know what, I'm done with the mortgage business. It was a good run, and I bought a scrapyard. And worked with that for a couple of years with Monty Thompson
here in Owosso.
Yeah. That was like my retirement plan. I was going to be a scrapper. It was like a midlife crisis. I don't know. And so, but that business kept calling me back. Brent Mowinski, who wanted me to come and work with him and help him start that branch of his company. And he talked me into it, and I did it. And after being with Brent for about a year, I realized that I'm my own man, and I wanted to do it on my own.
Yeah.
So left Brent on really good terms. He's still a really good friend of mine. We have other business ventures, but so about a year ago, we started Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, and it was for the longest time it was just me.
Yeah.
And then I just happened to run into Annie Ludington, and we started talking about her career at Young's and what she was looking for, and I'm like, let's figure out a way to do this.
Yeah.
And so she's been awesome, and I told her that she was by far the best business decision of my life.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, she's great, and she's helping grow our company and brings great new ideas to the table every day. And she's learning the business, and she's awesome.
Yeah, you got to have someone like that. That's very similar to my story with Brenda Bruce. I know you've met Brenda, but I mean, she kind of came on very early on, even when I couldn't pay her very much. I was like, hey, this is what I could pay you, but it was such a pivotal decision, and it turned things in a direction for the positive that I probably would have never done on my own, because she just sees things differently than I see them, and it's a good balance there. So you came back to Owosso. We got to where you are today, but you have your hand in a couple other business ventures, but one more specifically is you guys opened, I believe, the first Airbnbs in Owosso.
Allegedly, the very first ones. And they're a lot of fun, but they're a lot of work. A lot of fun. And we have, and that's really what brought me back to Owosso initially, investing in downtown. Randy, my brother, is obviously really big into the commercial real estate scene.
Yep.
So along with the scrapping, downtown commercial real estate was my thing.
Yeah.
And so we bought the building that housed the Airbnbs. There's 3 units. We live in one of them, and then we rent the other 2 through Airbnb. And people are always amazed that people come to Owosso and they pay and they stay. What do they come here for? We get asked that all the time.
Yeah.
And we are, like, our summer months, it's extremely busy.
Yeah.
Both units are booked right now, and it's like that through July right now. So it's pretty cool because we see a lot of people come for a lot of different reasons, work, family, weekend getaways. We have a lot of people that just come from the Detroit area looking to find a place to get away for the weekend, and we saw your exit a few times, so we thought we'd give it a try.
Yeah.
So which is cool because we'll leave them our favorite restaurant spots, each dish at each spot. Here's what you should order. And,
Yeah. Well, that's
and we
cool.
try to get them out and about, and because I know obviously some of our local businesses have really struggled with last year, so just anything we can do to get these people out into those businesses.
For sure. Well, that's awesome. I know they're, when I was at the Comstock, I used to get the same question. Why do people come to Owosso? And it's amazing how many people here. This town has a lot of charm, and maybe if you've been here your whole life, like it's so funny how many people have lived here their whole life, never been to the Kerwood Castle or never been to the Railroad Museum or never even tried some of our local restaurants. When I lived in New York, it was amazing how many people lived in New York City and never been to the Statue of Liberty, even though it's right there, So sometimes when it's your home, it doesn't seem like much, but to people on the outside, it's a nice, quaint little charming town, and it actually does attract quite a few people. So, well, that's cool. We'll check out the Airbnbs as well. They're pretty sweet, very modern, and it sounds like you guys put a lot of nice little touches in there to make that fun. Okay, so now we're going to move on to a segment of the show that's one of my favorites, and it's called Explain That Post. So I'm going to text you here a picture. You have your phone with you?
I don't.
Jordan will hand it. Okay. Jordan will hand it to you there. I'm going to text you a picture. We did a deep dive on your Facebook page, and we found this gem. And I just think it needs a little more context for our listeners. Our listeners can see this picture right now.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, we got a group. Did you get it?
I did, yeah.
We got a group of people here. Some of those faces you might recognize, but we got a very bare-chested, lots of man thighs sticking out there, star-spangled stripes on the shorts. Jim just like kind of man-spreading there.
I feel like Justin Horvath's the one that's like most shocking to me. Like,
yeah, it doesn't even look like him anymore.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, he's lost like 100 pounds.
More than that, like
it's a whole human. But let's not lose focus on the what's going on here. It says plunge for the parks. I know what that is, but
2016. Yeah. So every year, we haven't done it in the last few years, but the City of Owosso Parks and Recs did a fundraiser. You jump into Hopkins Lake, so they would literally chainsaw a hole out of the ice, and you jump in. So you'd have to get pledges and fundraising and all that kind of stuff to try to raise money for the Parks and Rec. So that's kind of what spearheaded the skate park.
Yeah,
those events.
And you guys raised enough money for that over a couple events.
Yeah,
a couple years.
Well,
so did you jump in the ice in this getup here?
Just like that. Yep.
Just like that. Holy
There's
cow.
a picture on the front page of the Argus with me like in midair right before I hit the water.
That's a confident man right there. Just let it all hang out.
Not all. I mean,
that's a lot of it.
There's a lot.
It's a lot more than I wanted to see, but
yeah.
Well, we got DJ Chewy in the background there, kind of with his Chewbacca costume. We got Justin, who's like half the man he used to be. There's a couple other familiar faces back there. Well, that's cool. Well, hopefully will we be seeing the short Star-Spangled Stripe shorts make an appearance?
I usually bust those out every 4th of July.
Yeah? Okay. We'll be looking for that. So make sure you keep us posted on social media where you're going to be on the 4th of July so that we can...
this was from 2016. Every year that goes by, it's you want to see me in that less and less.
Less and less, yeah. All right. Well, thank you for being a good sport on that. So, well, we usually kind of end our episode by talking, about COVID. It's a very real thing that has affected businesses in a very real way. And I know, like I said, we had you on the show to talk a little bit about how it affected the mortgage industry. But when that whole thing went down, you were still working for Mowinski. They had recently moved to a new building and were kind of doing some new things. And but you had some Airbnbs, which is a business that is based on people traveling. Yeah. So when that all went down, like what was going through your mind? Lockdowns, unemployment, people staying at home. I mean, that certainly... At the beginning, none of us knew.
Yeah.
We had skepticism. We had, worry. We didn't know what to expect. But what was going through your mind?
Well, for me, in my mind, it was 2 weeks. Yeah. 2 weeks and done.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what we were told. 2 weeks to slow the spread.
We're all still learning. Mm-hmm. So it didn't really I'm like, sweet. I'm gonna take a couple weeks off from the gym. I need it. My body needs to relax. I'm gonna just pig out for 2 weeks. And we were stocked up on toilet paper because we have the Airbnb, so didn't care about that. So in my mind, it was 2 weeks, and no big deal. It really didn't change my business a ton, other than realtors could not work. If you remember, they had to stop showing homes. They, they were going to do their live videos,
virtual tours. Yeah.
So aside from purchase business just slowing down a little bit, rates were still really good. So we were still really busy with refinance transactions. So it didn't impact our business a lot. And then, on a personal level, 2 weeks, cool.
We all thought we could do 2 weeks, right?
I can use a pause. It'll just be good to refresh. And, I won't go out and eat my fried chicken at Lula's every night or, and once that 2 weeks passed and it gets, then for me personally, and everyone handles it differently, but for me, it's just, the frustration and the disbelief starts setting in.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact it's different here in Owosso because
for sure
early on, we had a couple cases. It was the nursing home, and that was it.
Yeah.
So we were just impacted differently, from how we dealt with it and how we encountered it. It just wasn't here.
Right.
So I wanted to be able to do the things that I wanted,
Yeah.
So it was then it just frustration and disbelief, and then I think now there's still a very large sense of disbelief.
Yeah, because you're told to trust the science and trust the numbers. So you want to do that. You're an intellectual person and you want to believe those things, but it just seems like things don't match up. So as a business owner who your whole existence, your whole living is based on taking risks and doing things that maybe are a little out of your comfort zone or maybe a little out of the ordinary, thinking outside of the box. So I think it's natural for an entrepreneur to kind of think, okay, yeah, I hear that, but what's a way I can still make things happen?
Yeah.
And it's not about not trusting the science or trusting politicians or trusting the media, even though there's a little bit of skepticism in all of us on those things. I think it's just saying, all right, failure is not an option for me. Quitting is not an option. I can take 2 weeks to pause because I'm a good human and I love my fellow man if that's what we need to do. But then it comes to a point where, like, all right, I gotta work. I gotta provide. So you start thinking of creative ways to do the things that you want to do and have to do. So what was something creative or maybe some creative things that you did to kind of stay in touch with people that you couldn't see, or maybe to get people to stay in the Airbnbs when people weren't traveling? What are some things you did to kind of innovate?
The Airbnbs, there was nothing people just weren't getting out. And we had, we saw a dramatic just stop.
Yeah.
And it was like that for 2 months. And that was, like, it's, okay, this is starting to, this hits us.
You're going to feel that.
You feel it real quick. But it was 2 months, and I would say by mid-May, it just got back to normal.
Yeah.
So people started, even though I think there were still travel restrictions, and people just decided that they were ready to go out. To
get out.
For the weekend getaways. So it's been good since then. As far as the mortgage business goes, I think the thing that bringing Annie on board has helped with is we're more in tune with some social media stuff, and our online presence is a little more.
Which is something we've all had to really focus on to be able to stay in touch with our clients and customers.
Yep. So that's changed. That's a benefit for the good. There's a lot of things that have impacted the purchase market, realtors in particular, that are hopefully here to stay. So they tried to limit who could go in and out of the house. So you had to get pre-approved. In the past, I just call them, hey, I want to look at this house, and up to the agent if they wanted to show it or whatever.
Right.
But now you have to have proof that you can qualify to buy the house before you can go look at it.
Right.
And I do hope that changes, because just from an efficiency standpoint for real estate agents,
right,
and from a just a psychological aspect of the person looking at it, you fall in love with the house and then you realize you can't get it for whatever reason. So I think that's a good thing that'll stay. I hope it does. But our business didn't change a ton, other than just a slight slowdown initially.
Yeah. Well, what is some good advice? You work with a lot of business owners. Obviously, you work with your brother some. We know Randy as Jim's brother. We don't know Jim as Randy's brother. We know Randy as Jim's brother. So that's how we refer to him. But obviously, you guys are connected in the community. You work with a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs. And so what is some good advice you'd give to business owners right now trying to still figure out how do these restrictions impact me? Some businesses are affected far more than others. Certainly restaurants, hotels, like anything that's travel related. But what's some good advice you'd give to business owners right now who are still like out there trying to figure this whole thing out? Like, how does this work for me?
I mean, I think you've got to figure out a way to, if you have a product, you got to figure out a way to distribute it,
Sell it.
sell it online. I know Aviator Jane started doing some of that where they have more of an online presence selling some stuff. Myrtles is, a business that is starting to head that direction. They're working on it right now. So you can't just rely on the people in our area to support your business. It's just not going to happen, because there are going to be people that are they're going to be nervous for a long, long time, even after everyone's vaccinated, and there's just going to be a different level of nervousness for a lot of people. So getting online and then figuring out a way to, I think that's really it. Just figuring out a way to take your good or service, your product to the consumer rather than relying on them coming to you.
Right.
So that might mean if you're, the massage person, like maybe you're doing some in-house visits. But I think that there are people that, this was one interruption. There's going to be another one.
Sure. Absolutely.
Who knows? This gas situation is crazy,
right?
So what happens?
Gas.
What happens with the next interruption? If you're just relying on things to go back to normal, you have to figure out a different way to do business.
Yeah.
That's my only advice. You got to adapt, or somebody else is going to come in.
Absolutely.
After you.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen a lot of businesses close, and that's for a lot of different reasons. But, I think the people that I've seen, the clients that we work with that have really said, we're going to adapt, we're going to change, we're going to get some stuff available online. If you have a product available that you can sell online, sell it online. E-commerce is up like 8,000%. People are buying things online. Actually, the Downtown Owosso website has a service free to downtown business owners that if they want to sell products online, they have an e-commerce section that each person can have. They can just link it right to their website, and they've contracted us to even set it up for them. So you don't even have to set it up. If you contact Josh Adams, you're a downtown business owner, he'll get you set up. We'll come to you. We'll get some products listed. We'll show you how simple it is to list a product, and you'll be up and running. And, there's some things to consider when it comes to e-commerce, such as not just putting the product online, but how they're going to pay for it. You got to package it. You got to ship it. You got to provide tracking. You got to provide support if they don't get the item or if it's the wrong size. There are some logistics that you have to consider, but it's worth the investment. And if you don't adapt, as Jim just said, when there's another interruption, when there's another pause, when there's another something, it's going to eat you alive. And so you just have to. And we as a marketing agency, as a business that lives online, we've been telling business owners for years, you got to get your stuff online. You got to be active on social media. You got to have a dynamic website. You got to have these things. And it's the easiest thing to convince people of now. But I think as things start to relax a little, we're seeing people get back into that comfort, like, okay, it's going to be fine now. And I think, they just need to continue to move forward and adapt and those things, I think, as they...
Well, I think one great resource we have is our downtown DDA, our Main Street community with Josh Adams. And
for sure. And
really, I mean, if you're in the chamber, the building that we're in, if you're a business owner not connecting with those people, and I know that sometimes it may not feel like you're getting an immediate return on the time that you spend, but I'm just thinking about all the different things when COVID first happened, all of the emergency loans that our DDA made available. The Shy Cash. There's tens of thousands of dollars right now floating out there, like ready to be spent at businesses, because we haven't spent any of ours. We bought it like, you get a match from consumers, boom. So we have $1,000 worth of Shy Cash that it's just sitting in a pile. So that money, so if you're not signed up with that in your local business, why not?
Absolutely.
And it takes 5 minutes, if that, to sign up, and then you got to do a little video to learn how to accept it and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, to the business owner, continue to find ways to be creative. You're a creative person already. You started a business, so you just got to adapt. You got to find ways to stay relevant. But to the local consumer, shop local, shop small, support these small businesses. We all want to live in a community that has a nice boutique and nice restaurants and a nice coffee shop and all of these nice things that we want to have, but we can't have them if we don't support them. And so it's nice to have them, but we got to go support them, use them to buy gifts, use them to do things, take your friends and family to, and those things are absolutely important to us, being able to maintain the nice things we have. And I've heard a lot of buzz there, some really cool, new, exciting things coming to our downtown, that I can't reveal to you right now, but there are people working to make sure we have a vibrant downtown, but we need our local community to support those things as well. So, all right, well, the last thing we're going to do here, Jim, is we have the segment we close out the show with, where we're going to tap into the genius of Jim Woodworth, and we're going to ask you 10 rapid-fire questions in 60 seconds. Jordan's going to hand you a little spinning wheel here that you're going to play for a fabulous prize. So go ahead and push that middle button there.
Oh, the middle button?
There you go. It'll stop. Let us know what it stops on.
Myrtles.
Myrtles. We were just talking about
one
Myrtles.
of my favorite spots. I saw her at coffee this morning.
$25 gift card to Myrtles to shop local. But you got to answer these 10 questions in 60 seconds. Now, you don't have to answer them right.
Yeah.
It's your answers. You just got to answer them, right? So, but these will be out there forever for the world to hear. So, are you ready, Jordan? We have a timer.
Ready.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. The timer starts now. What is a must-read book?
Richest Man in Babylon.
What is a daily habit that everyone should do?
You should exercise and sweat.
What is your favorite podcast?
Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad.
What is a must-binge TV series?
The original, 24.
Oh, I love that show. What is your why?
My why? For personal and business, it's just to grow both of those things to wild and crazy success stories.
Okay. Best piece of advice?
Ignore the noise.
Favorite quote?
The man in the arena.
Who do you look up?
Kind of.
Yeah. Who do you look up to?
My high school basketball coach, John Fattel.
Last question. What is success to you?
Growing.
Success is growing.
Yeah.
Did he make it?
You're either growing or you're dying.
You're at 52 seconds.
Boom.
8 seconds remaining. Good job, baby. You
$25.
get it. You're going home with $25
Nice.
to Myrtle's Chocolate. So good job there. And thank you for participating in those things.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Well, now I want to give you just a minute to look into that camera. Tell our audience how they can find Success Group, how they can find the Airbnbs, how they can contact you if they're looking for help with a mortgage or whatever you want to say. Plug it right now, baby.
Sure. I appreciate the opportunity, Tony. Thank you.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
So our company, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, you can find us at www.successgroupmortgage.com. We're right downtown Owosso, and we can be reached at 989-720-4380. If you're looking to purchase for a home, like we talked about, it's a great time to do it if you're not nervous and you have the right people on your team. So we would love to be on your team. So thank you.
Airbnbs?
Airbnbs, you go to airbnb.com. So
Okay.
yeah, just search
Look
us.
Owosso.
Yeah, Owosso. It's.
How many Airbnbs are there in Owosso now?
There are 4, I believe.
Okay, and you
so
got
we
two
have
of them.
2, and the Finleys have a couple that they rent out. But we're booked, man. So
Yeah.
if you have family coming in, you've got a wedding, like you got to start planning ahead like 3-4 months. So.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Jim, thanks again for being on the show, man. I appreciate it. Good luck to everything you're doing. Thank
you.
you for all the help you've done with helping us get our mortgage, and we're gonna
gonna
cross
get
the
there.
finish line.
We
I have
will.
full
We
confidence
will.
it'll happen soon. We just got to be patient, and it'll happen. So, and if you're still with us, thank you for watching today. As my mother always said, you can't and never could until you tried. So go out there and try something great today, my friends, and don't take the easy way out. We'll see you next time.